The King and the Brow are now teammates. They immediately become a historically talented front court. Welcome to Game Time. Chris Miles here with Mike Fratello. Czar, what do you make of the Lakers' sense of urgency to get this deal done before free agency and before the NBA draft?
Both teams got what they wanted. L.A. got another superstar to go alongside LeBron. For New Orleans, they got a future, a bright one out of this deal. And think about it, having number 1 pick and now adding number 4 pick, Griff had to get this done because next week is the draft. And he wants to be able to use those picks, obviously, with this draft class to get an outstanding young player or put it in a deal to make something else happen.
And he also gets recent top draft picks and number 2 overall pick Lonzo Ball, also number 2 overall pick Brandon Ingram. Just a few years ago, those guys, Josh Hart, and those 3 future first-round draft picks, including, like you said, the 4th pick in this week's draft, all headed to New Orleans in this trade. Let's welcome in Charles Barkley, and let's get right down to business. Anthony Davis traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. What does that do for the balance of power out west and for the Lakers as far as making them contenders for next season?
Well, obviously, it's the worst-kept secret in the history of pro sports. You knew he was going to go to the Lakers at some point. I think New Orleans did as good as they could do under the circumstances. Listen, you got LeBron, you got AD. You're in the conversation. Because this thing has just flipped on his head the last week with KD out for next year, Clay out probably for next year also. But listen, they're going to have to put some pieces around these guys. I mean, they gave up a lot, so it makes them a power player in the West. But I still like Portland. I like Denver. The Rockets are going to be right there. So this doesn't make them automatically the favorite.
You mentioned a lot of those very talented teams that, showed that they had a lot of championship prowess in the playoffs this postseason. But looking at the Lakers and thinking that they have $32 million in cap space going forward, what do you think is their biggest position of need, or what do you think they need to do to fill out the rest of this roster?
Well, they're going to need some shooting. I mean, the Lakers were the worst. I think I saw a stat. I think they were the worst three-point shooting contest team in the league. But like I say, listen, when you got Kyle Kuzma, LeBron and Anthony Davis, you can find some spare parts. There's going to be some guys who want to play in L.A., just for the lifestyle. But like I say, it doesn't make them the prohibitive favorite right off the bat. I don't believe that at all.
Hey, Chuck, with the guys they have right now, as you look at it, they have their front line, if they wanted to, in place with LeBron. He can go 3-4. Anthony Davis can go 4-5. Kuzma could go 2-3. So you could go Kuzma, LeBron, Anthony Davis up front, but their backcourt now has a ton of gaps. When you look who's out there, Kemba Walker's out there, Derrick Rose is out there. They could bring back Rajon Rondo. Bledsoe's a free agent. Kyrie is a player's option. What do you like as far as a match there for them?
Well, it's clear there's going to be some on the perimeter. They need some guards. I mean, they got no guards as we speak right now. So it's going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting summer for the NBA. There's so many guys who on TV and radio have been lying for the last 6 months, saying wherever somebody from their camp told me they're going here, 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 or here. So it's been a lot of lying on TV and radio the last 6 months, Mike, with all these reporters making up stuff. But clearly the Lakers need some perimeter help in the guard position, a 1-2. But like I say, they got this. That doesn't mean they're gonna get these guys just because they're out there. I mean, Kemba's in a unique situation. You got Jimmy Butler out there. You got Kyrie. I mean, this thing is going to be crazy for the next couple months.
Well, we've talked a lot about the Lakers. On the Pelicans side of things, clearly they got younger, and it looks like they're going into the movement of youth with Lonzo Ball. Zion Williamson sounds exciting. Brandon Ingram showed some promise this year. How do you like the pieces that they got back, particularly those draft picks, including the 4th pick in this draft?
Well, I think it's as good as they could do. I mean, I think those guys are going to play well with Zion. I'd use that 4th pick. Listen, I might probably trade Drew Holiday because he's an older guy, and we're clearly building for the future. He's a very good player, Drew Holiday is. But, you're clearly going with a youth movement. And, one guy nobody is talking about is DeAndre Hunter from Virginia. Everybody's talking about, I know Zion is going to go number one, but after getting a chance to watch this kid play at March Madness multiple times, you think about it. Virginia had the worst upset in college basketball history last year. What was the only thing they added to the team? DeAndre Hunter. And they win the national championship, and he's the most valuable player. So all these teams out there, don't be sleeping on DeAndre Hunter. But, listen, to get back to your original point, David Griffin did the best he could under the circumstances. I like where they're going. They got a bunch of good young pieces. They're building for the future. So if you're a Pelican fan, you got to be happy.
Now, switching back to the Lakers and looking at the fact that Chris Haynes reported that Anthony Davis will not sign an extension with the Lakers, as a lot of people anticipated in the original reporting. Does that surprise you a bit that he's not making that long-term commitment to the Lakers as he heads out there?
No, because what they want to keep that cap space. They go out and get another player. I mean, he's going to be their property at the end of the next year. They don't have to sign him to a long-term deal. But see, if they sign him to a long-term deal, they won't have all that cap space. So it's a great business move by the Lakers. They got Anthony Davis on the contract for 1 year, and now they still got that cap space. So that's strictly a business move by the Lakers, and it's a smart business move.
All right, I know we got you on your first weekend off after the playoffs ended. We appreciate you taking some time spending with us.
No problem, man. You guys keep up the great work. Miss y'all.
So what players can the Lakers afford now? Tom Penn joins us next to break it down. Well, LeBron James welcomed his new teammate to the Lakers.
Maybe he's got an extra house for him out there. What do you think? He can borrow for a while.
Can I get a room? That's all I want.
Might be able to.
To help us understand the Lakers cap situation post Anthony Davis trade, let's welcome in Tom Penn, our analyst and former vice president of basketball operations for the Portland Trail Blazers. Okay, the Lakers have just 5 players under contract for next season, including Anthony Davis. Apparently, they have about $32 million in cap space. Is that enough to fill out the rest of this roster?
I think it's going to be more like 27, 28 million after you count all the different things that go into stacking up the roster. So is it enough? I don't know. Well, sure. They're in a better place. It's a great move for both teams. You got Anthony Davis at 37, LeBron at 27, and then everybody else. Kuzma's the most meaningful player beyond that. And then they got to fill things out. And, Mike, it reminds me of when the Big Three assembled in Miami. Pat Riley had the luxury of those guys all coming at once and all agreeing to take pay cuts, or not pay cuts, but they took a haircut off of the maximum, and that freed up an extra $15 million for him to play with beyond that. This is going to be more challenging for Rob Pelinka. It's really going to depend on what types of players choose to go, but at least there's the perception that LA's back and that they're, Vegas has them favored to potentially win it.
Tom, in order, the most famous people and favorite people in New Orleans were Drew Brees, number 1. Then Anthony Davis could have been 2 and Emerald 3. But now AD's gone, so Dave Griffin moves into that second spot behind Drew Brees.
Yes, he does. He was America's favorite, but now he's New Orleans' favorite.
Tell me this. Would you say that they may go back and sign some of these guys that were with them last year that have become free agents? For example, Rajon Rondo being one of them, JaVale McGee perhaps another one that they might decide to retain. I bet you they wish they kept Zubac right now in this situation.
Yeah, no doubt. It's interesting. Are they going to get the quality of players the way Golden State has gotten, or the way, Cleveland at times got, where they were able to get high-quality guys that are hunting a ring and can really come in and help? Last year with the Lakers, when they started adding, it was like the land of misfit toys. I mean, they brought in Stevenson and McGee and everybody had some history. It was just, it just didn't fit. You could see that was a combustible group. So I think they need to prioritize character. I could see Rondo coming back. He's an important player for them, particularly when there's more talent on the floor, and he may take a lot less to do it. So, but beyond that, I don't know. I think they really need to go fresh and see what shakes out otherwise.
Well, one of the biggest names being reported, I think Mark Stein reported that Kemba Walker was on the table for the Los Angeles Lakers as a free agent. Again, he just seems like someone that they can't afford. Do they have enough cash for guys like Kemba Walker or someone of that ilk?
I don't think so, unless Kemba would really want to play in L.A. and be a part of that. I understand his name being thrown out there, but I don't know. I mean, he'd be the only one taking less than his market value. And that's when I go back to with the Miami situation. They all took less than their market value, and it sort of set this precedent where everybody did it, and they built the juggernaut. Here, I don't see Kemba taking less than his full max, in which case it's going to be, I don't think the Lakers can get there. And they may be better suited, rather than giving it all to one other guy, they may be much better suited sprinkling that, spreading it out in a way that they get multiple players who play important roles for them. I mean, they're going to be able to offer playing time. Any smart veteran knows that when LeBron is humming and you put another MVP candidate next to him, the game is easy for you, and you can get your minutes, you can get your touches, and you can get your glory. So I think L.A. is intriguing. They may be better off taking that $27-30 million and spreading it across a bevy of talent.
Tom, is there any way you could see Kyrie rejoining LeBron?
I did before Anthony came and took all that. I don't think Kyrie signs up for being the third fiddle. I think Kyrie leans more into a New York City opportunity where he's the star. He's always struck me as one of these guys, even as accomplished as he is, that he's just still on the rise, on the climb, looking for for his own legacy, his own situation, and I think he's still destined for big city that way.
Certainly a big trade in this first weekend of the offseason between the Lakers and the Pelicans. Appreciate your time. Tom Penn, thank you.
All right, guys. Should be a fun week.
The Anthony Davis trade saga finally comes to an end. When we return, we take a look back. We get the best of Magic Johnson on Twitter, don't we?
Well, Magic's busy tonight. He's got a lot going on, and he's very excited or he's very sarcastic, one of the two.
To Rob Pelinka, yeah. Well, earlier today, we spoke to NBA.com senior writer Sean Powell. Looking at the Lakers, looking at LeBron James, who will enter his 17th season next year, and looking at Anthony Davis in the prime of his career, they feel the need that they had to make this move to try to keep up with the Western Conference and to contend for a championship.
Well, Rob Pelinka had to make this move because LeBron James turns 35 years old next year. And I think that for the Lakers, this was a strike-now move. He's not getting any younger. They had to make a move, particularly as Coach Fratello said, now with the Warriors basically missing two stars next year, it's wide open. The Lakers also will have $32 million in cap space if Anthony Davis waives his $4 million trade bonus, which he will, which means the Lakers will be in play for a free agent. So basically, this trade will have a ripple effect. They have Anthony Davis, they have LeBron James, but who else are they going to add? Obviously, they're missing a point guard. Maybe is it Kemba Walker or Kyrie Irving, who opted out of his last year of his contract. Will he rejoin LeBron James? So I think a lot of this also depends on what the Lakers can do in free agency to add to the mix.
Well, you mentioned that $32 million in cap space. You say stars like Kyrie Irving or Kemba Walker, who you said will be a max player. But what's their biggest position of need? Is it point guard or is it a defensive stopper on the wing? What do you see as being their biggest positions of need?
I would say point guard. What the Lakers don't want to do is have LeBron James be the master of 5 different positions as he was last year. Load management came about because of that. Also, this is a guy who probably won't play 82 games again in an NBA season. So the last thing you want him to do is to wear himself having to basically control the ball as he has most of his career. Definitely they need a defensive stopper. Anthony Davis, by the way, does fill that role to an extent. But I also think that that's a player they can get just by filling out the rest of the roster.
Okay, speaking of Anthony Davis, there was a thought process that he would sign with the Lakers and agree to an extension. But Chris Haynes is reporting that Anthony Davis will play out this season, then enter free agency next summer as a free agent. Does that surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me because there's no urgency for him to do anything. Assuming, he's going to stay healthy, and I guess nobody can really take it for granted. After what we saw, with Kevin Durant, getting hurt like that. Look, he has representation that's linked with the Lakers, Rich Paul, LeBron James. I don't think that that's going to be a big time sticking point right now. I think it all depends on what the Lakers do in free agency. And if they get that player, that missing piece that can push them over the top, I think Anthony Davis is going to stay there long term.
Well, another guy in the center of this trade is our former colleague here at NBA TV, David Griffin, now president of basketball operations down there in New Orleans. He brings in Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, 3 future first-round picks, Josh Hart, and also number 1 overall pick, where many assuming is Zion Williamson. A lot to be excited for New Orleans fans, right?
Yeah, I think this is, David Griffin basically wants to redo this team, and he's going to redo it with young players, not a totally inexperienced team, but with young players going forth. And also, this gives him assets to trade if he decides to do so. Now that they have Lonzo Ball, they're probably more likely to take a wingman at the number 4 pick that they got from the Lakers, more so than a point guard. Jarrett Culver's in play. A couple others are in play. But if you look at this roster right now, you've got Lonzo Ball, Zion Williamson, who will be the number 1 pick, Brandon Ingram, that 4th pick, and, they'll also have some cap space going forward. And this is what they want to do. They want to form a young nucleus, exciting, get up and down the court, and then see what kind of trades they can make either this summer or next summer.
Well, one of the things we heard going into this trade over the past week was the fact that this would be a 3-team trade, and Woj just reported that the Pelicans are looking to shop that 4th pick in this draft. If you heard anything like that as well.
Well, they'll shop the 4th pick if a team wants to draft a point guard, which, of course, the Pelicans don't need. But I'm not so sure they'll get any kind of big haul for that number 4 pick. They could. I would probably be more curious about the future number 1 picks that they're going to get from the Lakers. Remember, LeBron James is not going to be there, probably more than a couple years. If the Lakers crash and burn 3 years from now and the Pelicans own that number 1 pick, that number 1 pick could be pretty valuable. They probably keep it themselves, of course, or they can use that as a trade bait. But I think for now, the only way they trade that number 4 pick is for a team looking to move up and get a point guard.
Certainly, David Griffin and company and New Orleans Pelicans got a lot of assets for Anthony Davis. Sean Powell, senior writer for NBA.com. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we try to cover all the bases. There's Anthony Davis. We know how great of a player he is. Anything we missed this show?
No, the Lakers need a backcourt, and New Orleans needs a big man in the center. And I am looking forward to the draft and then free agency. This is an exciting period of time.
Way to start the offseason with a bang. I'm Chris Miles. That's the Czar. Thanks for kicking it with us.
A rookie continues to hit bombs. Gary Woodland hitting U.S. Open bombs. Toy Story 4 opens Friday. It will be the bomb. I love the Toy Stories. But we begin with a 6:27 p.m. dinner time Woj bomb.
Lakers' first year with LeBron James was a total bomb. Alternate definition, really bad, disaster. Then this evening, Woj brings news that Anthony Davis is on his way. A trade that couldn't be consummated in February gets done in principle here in June. LBJ and AD together, purple and gold potential, who the franchise surrounds itself with, discussed later on the program, but Kyle Kuzma's on the roster. AD off to L.A. and return. The Pelicans get Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, 3 first-round draft picks, one of them being the number 4 pick overall in the upcoming draft. Davis, top pick in 2012, 26 years old, 6 times an All-Star, who has averaged 23.7 points and 10.5 rebounds per game during his career. All right, Adrian Wojnarowski broke the story. He is with us now. Further detail on what happened in this trade. Woj, how do we go from a very public Lakers failure to get AD in February to a finished deal on Saturday?
Well, John, it made all the sense in the world for New Orleans to wait until the season was over because they were going to have more options in doing a deal for Anthony Davis, and they would know better the draft picks potentially that would have value. The Lakers winning the lottery gave them that 4th overall pick. That was a big part of this trade. And David Griffin, the new executive vice president of basketball ops in New Orleans, got everything he imagined in this trade, and the 3 first-round picks, another pick swap, another year that has value. You saw that in that big Celtics-Nets trade from years ago. And, New Orleans, for a team that didn't have all the leverage in the world because everybody in the NBA knew AD wanted to sign next year in free agency in L.A., that he'd be a rental almost anywhere else, got a tremendous haul for Anthony Davis. But the Lakers get the star they have coveted. LeBron James gets a partner here to pursue contention in the Western Conference.
Well, magic work there by Griff. Let's pick up on what you said there. Davis's status beyond next season. What's the contract situation extension in that going forward?
Well, Anthony Davis will play this year under contract with the Lakers, and then he'll become a free agent next summer. And he has had every intention to stay in L.A., to sign with the Lakers long term. And, he'll probably outlast LeBron James and become, the star member of that organization. This is what he wanted when he asked for a trade back in January prior to that February trade deadline. He finally gets it, and the Lakers now, get a cornerstone to build their organization around even beyond the LeBron James era.
Again, yes, Anthony Davis, who is 26 years old. New Orleans now has the number 1, number 4 picks in the draft, or as we like to call him, the Zion Williamson pick and the number 4 pick. What talks are taking place there?
Yeah, New Orleans has had talks for the last several days on the hypothetical if they got number 4, what would be available to them. They talked with some different teams about some 3-way deals that could have gotten done today and would have gotten New Orleans another really good veteran player, perhaps even an all-star. But they'll continue those talks outside of that, one-on-one deal with the Lakers, and they'll take it right up to Thursday's NBA draft. But there's tremendous interest in that number 4 pick around the league. The Pelicans can now take what's already an asset-rich deal and make it even better by either trading for, like I said, a veteran player, another starting level player, or they could trade down in the draft. You have a team in Atlanta with 8, 10, and 17 that could conceivably have the assets to move up, and those 3 first-round picks could turn into 4 or 5 for New Orleans. They're in a great position here to go forward, to kind of reshape this franchise in the post-Anthony Davis era.
That's Woj, and as Butchie pointed out, he's what's for dinner. Thanks so much for all your news on AD and the Lakers. Closer examination of some of Davis's NBA work. Lakers are getting a player who arguably is among the best 5 in the league, offensively, monster. According to Second Spectrum, Davis averaged the 2nd most points per paint touch in the league. Only player ahead of him was Boban, who had, by far fewer attempts. That'll fit in well with L.A., who averaged the 2nd highest points per game in the paint this season. Davis especially good on drives to the rim, averaging 1.1 points every time he did so, which would have been near the top of the league. That would help the Lakers, who ranked 15th in drive efficiency as a team. That mark, of course, was even worse when LeBron was not on the floor, and they eventually had to shut him down early. And to play with LeBron, you have to be ready to catch and shoot. Davis shot 38% last season on catch-and-shoot three-pointers, making him a good fit there with the King. Lakers, as a team last year, ranked dead last in the league, making less than 34% of their catch-and-shoot three-point attempts. All right, there's 23, and we think perhaps 21. Posted on the Instagram.
Yeah.
You on the Instagram?
The IG. Yeah,
IG, sure.
A little bit, yeah.
This was from LeBron. AD on the way. Grammatically, Instagram and Twitter's not great for that. Let's get it, bro. Just the beginning. Hashtag Lake Show.
Come on, guys. It's not rocket science. I would love to play with a lot of great players. That's just who I am.
Great look by James. Davis for a two-hand jam. James to the basket. James. Alley-oop, and Davis will put it down. So LeBron has another star. He's been here before. When he took his talents to South Beach, he finally got the superstar help he'd been lacking in Cleveland. Dwayne Wade averaging only 27 per game the year before. Bosh 24 per game with Toronto. The result, 4 final appearances to Larry O'Brien's. 4 years later, he goes back to Cleveland, teams up with another pair of stars. They get Kevin Love over from Minnesota, where he had averaged 26 points per. Kyrie Irving was already there. The result, a great run. 4 final appearances. And Cleveland's first ever NBA championship in 2016. John and I should know because we were there. Yay. Last summer, LeBron heads to Hollywood, joins the Lakers. You kind of thought this was kind of a mulligan year. Not a lot of expectations. Supporting cast, a little different this time around. Ingram, Kuzma, Ball. The result, LeBron's first losing season since his rookie campaign. But now we find out on Saturday, right around dinner time, that here comes AD. Another big name to join that man, LeBron James. He averaged nearly 26 points per game with the Pels last season. Not to mention he's made every All-Star game since 2014. Only time will tell if this move yields another championship for LeBron and the big Los Angeles Laker fan base. So the addition of that star could put this streak in jeopardy. LeBron has led his team in total points every year of his career. That's 16 straight seasons. If he leads the Lakers in points next season, he'll match Kareem and the mailman for the record with 17 seasons in a row as the team's top scorer. Lakers probably hope he doesn't because they like to rest him. That means AD plays every game, and it'd probably be better if AD did. But just in case, there is yet another record LeBron can point to next season.
We got breaking news into SportsCenter.
The Pelicans have agreed to finally trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers.
This is a monster haul for the New Orleans Pelicans.
But of course, the bigger fish is going on out in LA. LeBron James needed another big player.
Suddenly, the Lakers are a legitimate contender.
You sure you want him to be your teammate?
I'm very sure of that.
So with the deal to acquire Anthony Davis, the Lakers would have just 4 other guys under contract for next season, and 2 of them haven't even played 50 NBA games, as you can see right there. But don't worry, America, they will get more players and fill out their roster. So it looks like these 2 are going to be teammates. We're not sure of the number yet. We're thinking maybe 21, maybe 41. We shall see. ESPN NBA front office insider and ceremonial mayor of Naples, Florida, Bobby Marks joins us on SportsCenter now. So we got Davis and LeBron and Kuzma, really good play. That's a great 3 to start from. Now, what's their next move? Do they split up that remaining cap space? Do they try to get Kawhi Leonard? Because it looks like Kyrie's going to be in net. Kemba's interesting. He's a good spot-up 3 shooter. What would you do if you're advising the Lakers?
Well, first, it's going to come down to timing, right?
Okay.
So this is where they are right now with $32.5 million. That's if the trade happens on July 30th. And why I say that, if they did the trade on July 6th, the first day they can do that, Davis's $27 million would go in. They would lose about $5 million in cap space. So that number would shrink down. But when you look at what's available, Kyrie, as you mentioned, possibly Brooklyn, Kemba, Supermax eligible in Charlotte for $221 million.
Money.
Now, something they were lacking last year, we look at the shooting guards here.
Yep.
Danny Green, J.J. Redick, possibly Terrence Ross. And if you add a Danny Green in, a J.J. Redick in, that still gives you about $12 million to go out and get maybe you can go out and get a Brook Lopez who you lost 2 years ago. And what that will do is, when you put Davis in, we still have to take out the players that are getting traded here.
Right.
With Ball, Ingram. And why we're waiting the 30 days is for the 125% to match up to the salaries. The 4th pick does not count in value until he signs that contract.
Okay.
And Hart.
And we'll make that happen probably, right? That's all going to be done.
Well, and I think when you look at what the Lakers had to give back with 2 first-round picks and two swap rights, a little bit of a sweetener for them to wait a little bit. You would still be over the cap, but because the money works, you're allowed to do that. So a lot of different options for Rob Pelinka, but I would say maybe split up that $30 million and fill out your roster. As you mentioned, you only have 4 players on their contract.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about the Pelicans, though. This is suddenly a really intriguing NBA team to talk about. Again, going their way. I mean, Lonzo Ball's a great defender. He's a great point guard. Ingram's going to have a lot more freedom. It'll be interesting to see if he can really blossom as well. Hart, again, all those first-round picks in the future. This could be a Celtic net kind of a trade. Sorry, Bobby. In the future, it could work out well for New Orleans. So now what can they do? Do they use the 4th pick, get another young guy? Do they bring in a veteran and say, let's go for the 8th spot maybe next year or certainly the year after? This is a lot of fun stuff here.
Well, and it's a textbook trade for David Griffin, their new head of basketball operations, on how to trade an all-star. Because when you look at their roster right now, when we add Zion Williamson, who they'll draft #1, you still have Drew Holiday. The big question was adding a player next to Holiday, and now you have him in Lonzo Ball. And certainly with Brandon Ingram. The big question will be certainly with health. Still a glaring hole at center here. And here's what their options are. Either they can keep the #4 pick or look to move. You're looking at players like Darius Garland from Vanderbilt, the guard, Jarrett Culver from Texas Tech, DeAndre Hunter. Maybe you move back in the draft and get 8 and 10 from Atlanta. So there's a lot of different options to go. Certainly we talked about the timing of the AD trade as far as July 6th or 30th. If they make the trade on July 6th, it benefits New Orleans. Now, your cap space goes up to $19 million, and you can go out and get fill out your roster, maybe a center. Maybe they go out and get Brook Lopez. And the treasure chest of draft assets. 2021 protected pick. You have swap rights in 2 years. You have an unprotected pick in 2024. So it gives David Griffin a lot of different options.
It's going to be a lot of fun. If you see him on 5th Avenue, say hi to Bobby Marks. Thank you, Bobby.
Come on, guys. It's not rocket science.